Okay, so here's what's going on. I wanted to make a video, get all my shadows out of the way, make a video about this project and why it keeps showing up. This is a shaker style table, end table or side table or nightstand, whatever you want to call it. The distinctive feature, it has a tall side and then it has these tapered legs. They're long legs. They're only about 1.125 up here in thickness, and they go down to about 5/8 on the bottom. They have just a simple taper cut straight. I have a video about cutting the tapers. It's not great, but it happened. And then there's another taper here. So on the two inside faces, where this is going to be the side, there's a taper here, and then facing in towards the front, kind of the faces underneath the table, that will also be tapered. So what it does is it gives it a much more slender look, and then it also gives a little bit of an angle so that the table is kind of using a little bit of angle power to keep its shape. I don't know how much, but that is what I think it's doing. Anyhow, so I've got these two pieces here, and hopefully this is in frame. And so as you can see, I used a Domino, which is a high-speed mortising tool or just a hole maker. And I have the matching holes on the sides. And so this guy is going to plug in here, and then that will be the back of the table. And as you can see, I've already attached the sides. These are glued together to simplify the glue up. And I've had these done for a while, but I wanted to make this video to show you something else. If I went with a Domino this way with this stick, I feel like it might get really weak, and it's kind of fun to cut these out. What they are is just that hole there, that's the mortise, and then this is your tenon, so it's just a couple of teeth. You could speed this up by putting it on a table saw or a router. You could cut it, make it really consistent, and then you could kind of mark that out, and it would be a little quicker. Or if you have a hollow chisel mortiser, you could go quarter inch cuts, and then that would plug right in. I enjoy doing it by hand. It always takes longer than I think it will, but I'm pretty happy with how it turns out. And then this guy, I'm going to show you, this locks it in. This is a dovetail here. So that is, it's got the dovetail shape, which is a kind of a triangular wedge shape there. And it receives a triangular cut. This is a pretty terrible job. However, the top goes on here, so you're never going to see the quality of the dovetail. I mean, it could have been better. I'm not going to lie, but it's locked in there. As long as that top is on there, it's never coming apart. And so what happens is you get your back on there, and then for the glue up, you're going to put these guys together, and when that goes in there and locks, then you have, that is where the drawer is going to go. Then you have pretty much a table. I mean, obviously you glue in the back panel. Again, I hope this is in frame. Yep, that's not great, but perfect, or it's okay. So once this all gets clamped together, that's the table. I have taken these parts, I've hand planed them so they're smooth. I've taken a little block plane and I've chamfered these edges so there's no splinters. This is like satin right now. It's beautifully finished. Same thing with these guys. That's a little sharp there, but on the front, I believe I chamfered all these guys already, and then definitely chamfered. Just took a block plane and just shaved the edge, so there's a little bit of a diagonal. And then down here, these feet are chamfered as well. So here's a chance to see the jigsaw puzzle that is this particular table. And I am going to say that this is one reason I do this is because I already know how to do it now. I think it's a really nice little design. You don't need a ton of lumber to make this design. You just need some straight grain stock. By that I mean you want the lines of your grain to be really straight. You don't want swirls or knots or anything, because once there's force applied to this, if there's too much grain, it'll crack along the grain. Here it's straight and it'll bend. It'll be a lot more resistant to force. You can kind of pick and choose your material. I did this out of ash because I have a lot of it locally. I like the way it looks. And I don't know if other people like it as much, but I think it's cool. So I do bases out of ash, or at least the legs. I'm doing another version of this, which will be a different species. But classically, they were made out of cherry. That was a common one for the shakers. And then I've seen them in black walnut, and I've seen them in different kinds of highly figured maple where there's a lot of grain, and there's actually a lot of grain or streaking in the legs. So this is actually also small enough that if you did want to ship these, if that's something you want to do with Etsy or eBay or something like that, they're not huge. The top is 18 by 18. You could set it up so the person that receives it just screws the top on, just pulls the drawer out, comes in through the top and screws the top on. And then they have a table that's easy to flat pack. It'd be a much smaller box. Without the top is kind of large, looks almost like a diploma hat. But anyways, that is the base, and so you have a chance to see that it goes tooth to tooth, and then the bird butts, or aka dovetails, plug in like that and wedge everything together, and it won't, once it's in there, it won't pull out, and it'll hold the top of that table together. What I'll do is, if I do have a bad dovetail, I'll just shove a little bit of veneer in there with some glue, or just put a little extra filler. I could do epoxy and fill the gaps. Different ways to remedy that. It doesn't have to be the most beautiful dovetail joint, because again, it will be covered up by the top and you won't see that part of it. And then this part does a pretty good job of covering up the not greatest. Nobody's going to be looking inside the drawer, so don't even worry about that. I mean, it could be neater, and you could take this part, you could make these smaller, and then you could cut these back, and so what would happen is that they would overlap more, and they would block any gap in here. But I could just put a little glue and sawdust in there if I really wanted to. I think this other one, it's a tighter fit. Let's see. Yeah, still a little bit of a shadow, but again, people aren't going to be looking at that unless they're other woodworkers, in which case they're going to be too fussy to please. So anyways, that's the video. I'm starting to do videos, and I've already done some videos about how to chop out these mortises. You could use a hand. I use a hand drill. I'm still chopping them out with a chisel, still measuring stuff by hand. I'm still using a kind of a cutting gauge to mark this stuff so that the teeth are the right depth for the holes. You can use like a brace or hand drill. It's up to you. You've got the time, great. You can use a router for stuff like this if you're in a hurry. So whatever makes you happy. It's your shop, so make something you enjoy.